To paraphrase Mavis Karn, a retired licensed clinical social worker, we are made of the same divine energy as is all life. Universal intelligence, the energy of all things, permeates our entire being. We are divinely engineered. We are made in the image of the Supreme. Hey, social media, it's Stephen Middleton coming to you from the Possibility Action Network. Our core values include I am, I can, and I will. I am Possibility Man. Today, I want to share on the theme Discovering Our Perfection in the Blink of an Eye. But first, a reminder, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, visit the link I have below and go to YouTube and subscribe. I'll keep you informed when I've posted new content and information about our podcast, which will premiere on August 1 of 2021. Now back to our share. Discovering our perfection in the blink of an eye. Let me tell you a story. A couple of nights ago, while washing dishes and putting my hands in the sudsy water, my hand hit the water on a certain angle. A bubble of soap water shot toward my left eye. And in a moment, in an instant, in fact, it's difficult to calculate it, my left eye closed automatically. And it got me thinking about the perfection that we are. The perfection of all life, not only human life, but animal life as well. And especially human life, of course, because it seems that human life also includes a lot of other capabilities that are not known in other forms of living. But I don't know that for sure, just an assertion on my part. But it got me thinking about the perfection that we are, and all of us, no doubt from time to time, get a glimpse into this perfection. Think about all of the things that animal life, including human life, and plant life does without our being aware of it. The beating of the heart, the digestion of food, the ability to hear, the ability to smell, the ability to distinguish colors, all suggest that we are perfectly made as we are in every way that anyone can ever imagine. And then I reflected on what some teachers have been saying about this for generations. I'm not going to go back into history to try to point it out, but I thought maybe this is what Sydney Banks, the 20th century philosopher, was trying to get us to understand. Sydney Banks said he had a realization in the blink of an eye. He had a realization that all life was made up of the same thing, that all life was made up of mind, consciousness, and thought. Now, of course, those principles that he pointed to are not the thing, but he was no doubt trying to find a way to communicate to the masses the perfection that's in life. And I will try to communicate that as we continue on today. Mavis Karn is one of my mentors, and she has said a few other things on a YouTube video that's on the podcast of Grace Kelly. If you want to watch it yourself, the topic of the video is divine engineering. And I made a couple of notes that I want to share with you today. She said, we have capabilities that we are using all the time, but don't know that we have. That is, we are equipped with information, with knowledge that we use every day of our lives, even if we are not aware of it. She said, we can know things we think we don't know. How true is that? She said, we don't have to walk around in the belief that we are flawed, that we are inadequate, that we are not up to it, whatever up to it is for you. We're not lacking anything. We are constructed the way we're supposed to be made. Wow. I think Mavis Karn is spot on. Just think about it. Think about all of the innovations that have taken place in our world just since, let's say, 1900. Air travel, space travel, the steamboats have gone into power motorboats. Human beings are able to perform surgery on the human body. And of course, it goes on and on and on. Now, I know we live in a world where the messaging is different. We are told about what we can't do. In fact, some teachers, like educational educators, and I'm a former educator, enter a classroom with what I would call negative teaching. They'll tell students what they cannot do. I cannot tell you how many times my professors told me that I could not write, that I was not a good communicator, that I would not publish anything, that I would whatever. All of these negative information we hear all the time. It's no wonder then that many of us get the idea that we are flawed. That simply is not true. And that's what I was reminded of a couple of days ago while washing dishes. In the blink of an eye, my eyes shut so that the soap would not enter into it. Mavis Karn also reminded us about the renowned scientist Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan once said, "We human beings," and I'm sure he would include all life, "are made of star stuff." And then he went on to say, from the nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, and the iron in our blood. All of these things are the same types of elements that we can find in the stars. So what are the implications of this for you and for me, for ordinary people? It means that we are engineered to be productive. We are engineered to make discoveries. We are engineered to make contributions to life if that's what we want to do. So what's a starting point then? As I reflected on this the other night, I said that one starting point is to simply be curious. Be curious and to look at what you're curious about. For example, if you're working with children, just notice what they're curious about. You may discover that some children are just curious about mathematics. You may discover that some children are just curious about science. Some children may be curious about writing poetry, writing literature. Just look at our curiosity. And then I thought about the kinds of innovations that we take for granted today. I'm in my studio. I have lights on to illuminate my image. And all of these things came about because someone was curious. And then I glued myself on to electricity. Yes, electricity. Then I asked myself, who thought of electricity? Now, of course, it was not always called electricity, but I did some minor research, and then I discovered that in 1600 BC, a Greek scientist named Thales came upon amber, and he had the notion that this amber could set off electric static, could set off static, and he thought there's power in this amber. Then in 1600, another researcher named William Gilbert coined the word electricity. He took it from the Greek word electron. And then in 1752, Benjamin Franklin here in the American colonies became curious about lightning storms. Franklin thought, what if I fly a kite and put a metal object onto the kite and hold the string of the kite while it flew into the electric storm? And sure enough, he got a shock, and he got him to think about there is power that can be harnessed in that electric storm. Then, of course, in 1879, Thomas Edison developed the light bulb, all because they were curious. Now, what am I curious about today? You know, there are people all over the world who are involved with the movement, be it a movement that points people back to their nature of perfection, be it a movement that allows people to get a glimpse in their ability to make enough money to take care of their family. There are people who are thinking about how to promote greater wellness in the human body as well. I'm curious about that. And the question that I'm asking myself is, can I participate in that? Can I share on social media? Can I talk to people in a way that points them back to what they already know, but may have forgotten, and that is their perfection? And this is why we have launched the Possibility Action Network. This is why we're involved in this training on social media to get a feel for how this works. This is why we will launch the Possibility Action Network podcast. And if this type of conversation is of value to you, send me an email. Let's engage this conversation, because I believe that as we engage more and more of this conversation about our perfection, that more and more people will discover that they don't have to live with stress, extreme stress. They don't have to live with debilitating depression. They don't have to live with debilitating anxiety. They don't have to live in poverty thinking that there's nothing that they can do about it. I believe that everything begins with it's possible. And this is why we started the Possibility Action Network. Now, some of you may be asking, well, okay, does that mean that all life is perfect? All life is perfect, including in its imperfection. You have never met me. And as I sit here in this chair, you may see this powerful hulk of a man, and you could assume that this guy can still play football like he did back in the day, when as a kid, he was so fast they called him Billy the Kid. But I use a walker because of a neurological condition that the doctors have noticed in my body. But here is what I know. I am perfect even in the imperfection of what they call muscular dystrophy. And every human being on this planet is perfect in the same way. I'm Stephen Middleton. I'm with the Possibility Action Network. Our core values include I am, I can, and I will. I am Possibility Man. Until next time, good day